Chapter 2. Such a Disappointment. Desborough Tilling lived, but his existence was cause for much speculation in the mouse community. "He's the smallest mouse I've ever seen," said his Aunt Florence. "It's ridiculous. No mouse has ever been this small, not even a Tilling." She looked at Desborough through narrowed eyes, as if she expected him to disappear entirely. "No mouse," she said again, "ever." Desborough, his tail wrapped around his feet, stared back at her. "Those are some big ears he's got, too," observed his Uncle Alfred. "They look more like donkey ears, if you ask me." "They are obscenely large ears," said Aunt Florence. Desborough wiggled his ears. His Aunt Florence gasped. "They say he was born with his eyes open," said Uncle Alfred. Desborough stared hard at his uncle. "Impossible," said Aunt Florence. "No mouse, no matter how small or obscenely large-eared, is ever born with his eyes open. It's simply not done." "His pa, Lester, says he's not well," said Uncle Alfred. Desborough sneezed. "Achoo!" He said nothing in defense of himself. How could he? Everything his aunt and uncle said was true. He was ridiculously small. His ears were obscenely large. He had been born with his eyes open. And he was sickly. He coughed and sneezed so often that he carried a handkerchief in one paw at all times. He ran temperatures. He fainted at loud noises. Most alarming of all, he showed no interest in the things a mouse should show interest in. He did not think constantly of food. He was not intent on tracking down every crumb. While his larger, older siblings ate, Desborough stood with his head cocked to one side, holding very still. "Do you hear that sweet, sweet sound?" he said. "I hear the sound of cake crumbs falling out of people's mouths and hitting the floor," said his brother Tulise. "That's what I hear." "No," said Desborough. "It's something else. It sounds like, honey." "You might have big ears," said Tulise, "but they're not attached right to your brain. You don't hear honey. You smell honey. When there's honey to smell, which there isn't." "Son," barked Desborough's father, "snap to it. Get your head out of the clouds and hunt for crumbs." "Please," said his mother, "look for the crumbs. Eat them to make your mamma happy. You are such the skinny mouse. You are a disappointment to your mamma." "Sorry," said Desborough. He lowered his head and sniffed the castle floor. But, reader, he was not smelling. He was listening with his big ears to the sweet sound that no other mouse seemed to hear.